Hi everyone, welcome back to another fun lesson of Jennifer Actual Speaking. 환영합니다. My name is Jennifer Clyde. It's time for lesson 10, and as I mentioned, as I said goodbye during our previous lesson, today we'll be talking about another kind of travel, which is business travel or business trips. So do you enjoy going on business trips? I know a couple of my friends hate business trips because they don't like to be apart from their family. But of course, I do have single friends that enjoy business trips. Now, some of them can last from just a couple of days to even a couple of months. But if you don't have family and you enjoy traveling, business trips can be good. Of course, the downside is you don't know where you'll be traveling to. You don't have a choice. You are told to go somewhere, so you basically have to go. But then again, that's right, you have to work on your business trips. The plus side, though, is that you get to spend your company's money. They'll be, of course, paying for your trip. And some people actually, I don't know, make use of this or take advantage of this. But we all should keep in mind that it's the company's dime, not ours. Anyhow, let's cut it short. Whether you enjoy taking business trips or not, let's talk about that topic today. Let's get started. Okay, everyone, are you ready to get started? Let's talk about business trips today. One thing I just remembered is that some people enjoy going on business trips because your company's paying for you to travel and you don't have to be stuck in your cubicle the whole week or even on the weekend. So let's check out the 5 W's and how, as always, to brainstorm some cues, everyone. Are you ready? Let's begin with our first W, which is who. Now, who do you go with? Do you go solo? Meaning, do you go alone? Do you go with a coworker, a spouse, or even significant other? A spouse, you all know, it's either your husband or wife. But what is a significant other? A significant other is a very special person to you. Simply put, a lover, I guess, right? You're not married, but it's someone you're seeing. Somebody that you care for a lot is your significant other. Oftentimes, you may go on a business trip, but if you have some extra time, you may even spend an extra weekend at that spot or location with a significant other or a spouse, right? Now, this is for an extended weekend. Let's move on to the next one. What do you have to prepare? Lots of things, but for example, business itinerary. What is an itinerary? It's like a planned agenda, a list of things you need to get done on your business trip. And also credit card, foreign currency as always because you are traveling often to, that's right, foreign countries. And let's take a look at Plan B. You need to prepare Plan B. What is Plan B? Plan B is often written with a capital P-L-A-N-B or just as this. But a Plan B is a secondary plan. Just in case something goes wrong, you always have to have another plan ready, okay? For safety reasons, yeah, prepare or have a Plan B ready. Let's move on. Yeah, of course, researching is important. This is, after all, for business, right? So track down the hotel. Track down means to follow or to look for. So look for a hotel that's right for you or this business trip. Also, do some research on travel arrangements, okay? Just as this is to save time and money, perhaps. Look for accommodations. Accommodations are basically room and board, places that you'll be staying at, and car rental. You may have to rent a car. In that case, you're going to need documents, right? Such as your driver's license. So if you are planning on renting a car or a vehicle, have the documents ready. What else? If you have to give a presentation, for example, you might need internet connection, right? In that case, check if they have Wi-Fi availability. Yes, this is a must. If not, you can't give your presentation or do research at that location. Also, check out the local customs. We talked about this during lesson 9 as well. Do some research on what you should do and should not do, things to avoid doing in that location or in that area. Moving on. Now, when you go. When do you often go on business trips? You can talk about the time of week, Do you go during the weekdays or usually on the weekends? Or talk about which month and which year you go, okay? For example, you may be away the whole year. You can mention, I'm away the whole year, okay? Now, where do you go? You may go out of town. Out of town basically means that you're not traveling overseas. You're staying in the country, but traveling to a different town or a different city. That means to go out of town. Also, places within the country is the same thing. Within means inside, right? You're not leaving the country, so you're going to local areas. You're going out of town. You may also go abroad. Go to foreign countries. Go overseas. Let's move on. Why do you go on business trips? For many, many reasons, but let's take a look at these, for example. To attend, to go to a conference, a trade show, a seminar. You can also, of course, go on business trips to take part in workshops, also to give a presentation, learn something, do some sales, that's right, or you can visit a client or even meet a buyer. These are some things you can do when you go on a business trip. This would actually be the purpose of your business trip, right? Okay, and how you travel? Simple: bus, subway, train, car, plane. You may even rent a car, right? And how often you travel for work. Now, this is something you must mention, especially in an interview about business trips, right? So, how often do you go on business trips? Do you go rarely, hardly, or do you go frequently, meaning very often? What about this? 2 times or 3 times or 4 times a month, which means you go on business trips quite often. What about, you can also talk about 2 times a year, 4 times a year, maximum number of days. You can mention, I go on a maximum of 5 business trips a year, okay? So think about the maximum numbers of days you are away on your business trip. And finally, let's talk about how long you travel for work. No more than 2 nights. We're talking about the minimum, right? And also days or the weeks and the months. Now, finally, let's take a look at how long, okay, yeah, this was our last one, how long you travel for. So these are things you can consider or keep in mind when talking about going on business trips. Now, are you ready, everyone? Keeping these cues in mind, let's listen to the talk between Rachel and Peter.
So Rachel, I'm a writer, so I don't get to go on many business trips, but have you ever gone on a business trip?
I have. I've only gone on one business trip, and it was to Jeju Island.
Really?
Yeah, I know. It sounds amazing. It sounds like a vacation, but I was working so hard I couldn't really enjoy the environment out there. But I went to go cover the World Conservation Congress, the WCC.
Okay.
So it was really amazing. And some of the things I forgot to pack was my computer charger. I know.
Oh,
It's something that
but that was expensive.
it was, but luckily, actually, my friend had a same kind of computer, so I could use hers, and that was good. But business trips, they always take a toll on me. I'm always traveling, and after you get back from traveling, you have to get some rest, but you can't because the next day you have to go to work again, right?
Right, if it's a weekend trip.
Yeah. But have you ever been on a business trip?
Yeah, as a copywriter, I got sent out by a big company, one of my clients,
Okay.
to CES, the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas.
Oh, right.
And I thought, great, I'll get to see Las Vegas. But I was working so hard.
Oh, no.
I had to be at the show early in the morning and all the way till the finish. And I had to write about the show as it was going on each day. And in 10 days, I had never had a chance to gamble once.
You're in Las Vegas.
I did go to one show at on the last day.
That's good.
And that was fabulous. But you know, business trips are for business, and we're getting
Exactly.
paid. So
That's exactly right. Actually, my friend of mine got to go on business trips to Ireland and also Indonesia because he is a newspaper reporter. He's a
okay,
journalist.
a
And
journalist,
yeah, he
yeah.
got to go there to write about those
Well,
countries.
his whole life is business trips. Then he
That
must be a frequent flyer
he is
on
a
a
frequent
bunch of
flyer. Yeah,
airlines.
he is. He has a lot of miles. Hopefully someday my company will send me on a business trip like that. I
No.
want to go to Hawaii.
I want to do less business trips and spend more time at home.
That sounds good too.
Did you catch some of the cues we went over in the actual talk between these two? Well, they were talking about business trips. What did Rachel say? Rachel said that she once went on a business trip, just once. Where? Yeah, she went to Jeju Island. But she worked and worked and worked so hard, she was exhausted when she came back. She also mentioned that she hopes to, or she really wants to, go on a business trip to Hawaii someday, right? Now, what did Peter say? He mentioned that he was sent to Las Vegas on a business trip. And what did he do? He worked and worked and worked a lot every single day. But he said that it was quite fun. He got to catch a show in Las Vegas just once. Okay, let's check out the conversation between these two. Now, Peter says, Rachel, have you ever gone on a business trip? You go on a business trip, or you could be on a business trip too. So you could ask, have you ever gone on a business trip? Or have you ever been on a business trip? Now, Rachel says, I've only gone on one business trip, and it was to Jeju Island. I was working so hard, I couldn't really enjoy the environment out there. So she was working, working, and working. And she says, but, business trips, they always take a toll on me. Now, to take a toll on someone especially, it means to cause damage. You can also say take a toll on something as well. But in this case, more than damage, it's more about maybe a lot of stress or illness cause a bad effect on. So she's saying that she was not able to enjoy the environment, the beauty of Jeju Island. She was working so hard that the business trip, yeah, it took a toll on her, meaning she was so stressed and exhausted. All right? Now, she also says, I'm always traveling, and after you get back from traveling, you have to get some rest, right? But you can't. You can't. Why? Because the next day, you have to go to work again. Now, this means work after work after work, days and days of work. She's basically saying she did not have time to rest, okay, because she was busy working and moving around. And Peter says that's right, if it's a weekend trip. That's right, meaning you're going on a business trip over the weekend and you don't have much time to relax at all. Now, she asks, have you ever been on a business trip? This time it is not gone, but have you ever been on a business trip? Let's check out what Peter said. He said, yeah, as a copywriter, I got sent out by one of my clients to CES, the Customer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. Let's check out this part though. I got sent out. To send out means to what? Send something out or send somebody somewhere. And he's saying he was sent out by someone, okay? So this company sent him to CES. Got it? Moving on, he says, I had to be at the show early in the morning and all the way till the finish, meaning from morning till evening or until the end of the event, and had to write about the show. And in 10 days, I had never had a chance to gamble once. So they were kind of jokingly saying he was in Las Vegas. There are tons and tons of casinos, but he was working so hard for the whole 10 days, he did not have a chance to even gamble once at the casino. Okay, moving on. Now, and she says, you were in Las Vegas. How could you not have gambled? He said, I did go to one show on the last day. There are lots of shows in Vegas, right? So he went to one show, and that was fabulous. Talk about the good things, all right, in a conversation or an interview. focus on the positives. And he says, but you know, business trips are for business. That's right. So business trips, they're not for pleasure, they're for work in business. And he says, and we're getting paid, so I guess I can't complain. Now, that's exactly right. Actually, now Rachel is talking about a friend of hers. Now, if you heard in the actual talk, this part may sound a bit different. I did make a correction here, so please keep that in mind. I think she was talking about a friend of hers. Okay, a friend of mine, in other words, my friend, got to go on business trips, right, several of them, to Ireland and also Indonesia because he's a journalist. He got to go there to write about those countries. So he went there to write about those countries. He's a journalist. Well, his whole life is business trips then, and he says he must be a frequent flyer. So let's take a look at this. His whole life, his entire life is business trips. What does that mean? His life is business trips? Basically, what Peter is trying to say is he goes on many business trips. His work is business trip related, okay? So he's saying basically as a journalist, that friend of yours probably has to go on many business trips. That's why it is part of his life. Now here's another one, frequent flyer. We'll take a look at that later on as well. But frequent means to do something often. And to fly here means to fly or go on a plane. So if you say he is a frequent flyer, it means that he flies to many places on a plane. And he has a lot of miles. We often say 마일리지 in Korean, right? You can say, I have a lot of miles. I don't have a lot of miles. Now, hopefully, someday my company will send me on a business trip like that. And she says, I want to go to Hawaii. Moving on. Now, Peter says, personally, I want to do less business trips and spend more time at home. So what is he saying? Do less, meaning he wants to go on less business trips. He prefers to spend more time at home. And Rachel says, well, that sounds good too, although she wants to go on a business trip to Hawaii someday. All right, that is a wrap for the actual talk, everyone. Check it out one more time with the subtitles.
So Rachel, I'm a writer, so I don't get to go on many business trips, but have you ever gone on a business trip?
I have. I've only gone on one business trip, and it was to Jeju Island.
Really?
Yeah, I know. It sounds amazing. It sounds like a vacation, but I was working so hard I couldn't really enjoy the environment out there. But you know, I went to go cover the World Conservation Congress, the WCC.
Okay.
So it was really amazing. And some of the things I forgot to pack was my computer charger.
Oh,
I know, it's something that
But that was expensive.
It was, but luckily, actually, my friend had a same kind of computer, so I could use hers, and that was good. But you know, business trips, they always take a toll on me. I'm always traveling, and after you get back from traveling, you have to get some rest, but you can't because the next day you have to go to work again, right?
Right, if it's a weekend trip.
Yeah. But have you ever been on a business trip?
Yeah, as a copywriter, I got sent out by a big company, one of my clients,
Okay.
to CES, the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas.
Oh, right.
And I thought, great, I'll get to see Las Vegas. But I was working so hard.
Oh, no.
I had to be at the show early in the morning and all the way till the finish. And I had to write about the show as it was going on each day. And in 10 days, I had never had a chance to gamble once.
You're in Las Vegas.
I did go to one show at the on the last day.
That's good.
And that was fabulous. But you know, business trips are for business, and we're getting
Exactly.
paid. So
That's exactly right. Actually, my friend of mine got to go on business trips to Ireland and also Indonesia because he is a newspaper reporter. He's a journalist.
a journalist.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he got to go there to write about those countries.
Well, his whole life is business trips. Then he must be a frequent flyer.
He is
on
a frequent
a bunch
flyer.
of airlines.
Yeah, he is. He has a lot of miles. Hopefully, someday my company will send me on a business trip like that. I want to go to Hawaii.
I want to do less business trips and spend more time at home.
That sounds good too.
Now it's time for us to check out some expressions related to business trips. You know, as I did mention, I'm sure many of you are saying, oh, I hate business trips. I don't know what I'm going to say if someone asks me to talk about business trips. Well, hold your worries, because whether you like to go on business trips or not, it's always important to start or think or talk about something on a positive note, okay? No negativity, but positivity is always good, with a big smile on your face. So talk about the positive things or positive thoughts about business trips, especially when you begin talking about business trips in an interview, okay? So perhaps you can say, business trips come with responsibilities. That's right. It's not an easy job or an easy task. You can say, as I am representing my company. Now this means I represent my company, or I am representing my company means I am the face of my company. If you do wrong, it's not good for the company. The better you do, the better it is for the company. So this is a great way to start a conversation or an interview about business trips, okay? It makes you sound very responsible and trustworthy. Another one, I enjoy the opportunity to attend a conference or a seminar outside the office. Now this is another good expression you may use. Here we have outside the office. This does not mean just outside the office. You are saying away from the office, at other locations, other places. So you can say, I really enjoy. It's fun. I like it very much. The opportunity, the chance to attend a conference or seminar on business trips or outside the office. What else can you talk about? You can say, I think seminars and training sessions, workshops, whatever, change it around, are fantastic avenues. Here we have avenues to advance business goals. So here you're saying that you are doing something for the company, but even better. Now these seminars, training sessions, workshops, they're what? They are fantastic, super, great, excellent avenues. What does avenue mean? An avenue, you may think, it means a wide street. That's true. You will see many avenues in Seoul, in Manhattan, New York. But here we are saying that it is a fantastic way. It is a great way to advance business goals. So avenues here means way, okay? A way of doing something. Now, let's move on to frequency. When you talk about how often you go on business trips, you can say, I head out of town twice a month on average. So keep this in mind. It can be once a month, twice a month, 3 times a month, but this expression here, I head out of town. Remember, out of town is what? Out of, that's right, you're within the country, but you're going to another city or a town. Head out means to go in that direction. Your head is facing that direction, so you're heading this way means you're going here. You're going out of town. You're heading out of town. How often? Twice a month on average. What else? On average, I'm sent on 2 business trips a month. Remember? Sent on, sent out, that was in the actual talk. I'm always on the road. I'm always on the go, selling and promoting our products. I'm always. You're talking about the frequency here, so it means you go on business trips very, very often, but you're on the road or on the go. It means that you are moving around. It means you are traveling from one place to another, okay? You're outside, moving around. You're on the road, on the go. You're on the move. These are all very similar expressions. You are traveling. All right, frequency. During my busiest months, think about when you're the busiest or when you were the busiest. You can say, I'm 1 week at home and 1 week away. This is another great way of talking about how often you go somewhere. So during my busiest months, I'm 1 week at home and 1 week away. During my busiest weeks, I'm 2 days at home and 5 days away. Okay, so play with this pattern on your own as well. Moving on, expenses. You can say, my company often requires me to put the bulk of my trip on my credit card. This could sound a bit difficult, but my company often requires me, meaning they want you to do this. What do they tell you to do? Put the bulk of my trip on my credit card. Bulk here means a large quantity of something. You can buy things in bulk. For example, you can go to the supermarket and buy toilet paper in bulk, which means lots of toilet paper. In this case, we are talking about money. Lots of money that adds up to a large sum on your trip. So basically what we're saying is, my company often tells me or requires me to pay with my credit card. Okay, once again, put the bulk of my trip on my credit card. To pay with my credit card. And what will they do? I submit my receipts. Okay, you submit, you hand in, you give it to them for reimbursement. To reimburse something as a verb, it means to repay. So here you're saying, I give my receipts to the company for reimbursement, meaning for payback. They will give me my money back, all right? So you can talk about that as well. A lot of times you will have to buy things and pay for things with your credit card. So this is something you will most likely talk about. Okay, let's move on quickly. Meetings. I sometimes mingle business with pleasure by planning a meeting at a golf course. Mingle here means to combine, mix. So you're saying, I sometimes combine, mix, or mingle business with pleasure. So it's not a very serious meeting. You are enjoying yourselves with your business partner or client. Another one, I like to discuss business ideas over dinner with the new contacts I meet. Contact here, we're not talking about phone numbers. We're talking about new people that you met. So you like to talk about business ideas over dinner, meaning while you have dinner. You could talk about ideas over coffee, which means while drinking coffee. All right, got it? Moving on, I usually have dinner meetings on my agenda. Having something on your agenda means that you have it planned, okay? You have a list of things to do on your agenda, and that means, yes, you have dinner meetings planned on your agenda. It's written down in your agenda. Personal preference. I try to have a plan B on standby for any situation that could go wrong. That could go wrong, so you have a plan B just in case. Also, now I make it a rule to have punctuality in check, okay? In check here means to have something in control. Okay, you are in control, so that's in check. Punctuality is what? Being punctual, okay? You are not being late. You are doing things as arranged at the right time. So being punctual or having punctuality in check is always very important, especially when it comes to business trips and business meetings, because you are the face of your company. You are representing your company. All right, everyone, we're done with the actual talk expressions. Let's listen to the actual talk one more time.
So Rachel, I'm a writer, so I don't get to go on many business trips, but have you ever gone on a business trip?
I have. I've only gone on one business trip, and it was to Jeju Island.
Really?
Yeah, I know. It sounds amazing. It sounds like a vacation, but I was working so hard I couldn't really enjoy the environment out there. But I went to go cover the World Conservation Congress, the WCC.
Okay.
So it was really amazing. And some of the things I forgot to pack was my computer charger. I know, it's something that
But that was expensive.
it was, but luckily, actually, my friend had a same kind of computer, so I could use hers, and that was good. But business trips, they always take a toll on me. I'm always traveling, and after you get back from traveling, you have to get some rest, but you can't because the next day you have to go to work again, right?
Right, if it's a weekend trip.
Yeah. But have you ever been on a business trip?
Yeah, as a copywriter, I got sent out by a big company, one of my clients,
Okay.
to CES, the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas.
Oh, right.
And I thought, great, I'll get to see Las Vegas. But I was working so hard.
Oh, no.
I had to be at the show early in the morning and all the way till the finish. And I had to write about the show as it was going on each day. And in 10 days, I had never had a chance to gamble once.
You're in Las Vegas.
I did go to one show at the on the last day.
That's good.
And that was fabulous. But you know, business trips are for business, and we're getting
Exactly.
paid. So
That's exactly right. Actually, my friend of mine got to go on business trips to Ireland and also Indonesia because he is a newspaper reporter. He's a
Okay.
journalist.
A journalist,
Yeah, he
yeah.
got to go there to write about those countries.
well, his whole life is business trips. Then he must be a frequent flyer.
He is
on
a frequent
a bunch
flyer.
of airlines.
Yeah, he is. He has a lot of miles. Hopefully someday my company will send me on a business trip like that. I want to go to Hawaii.
I want to do less business trips and spend more time at home.
That sounds good too.
Now it's time for us to take a look at today's idiom, everyone. Relax, sit back as if you were on a plane on a business trip, or even better, on a vacation. But here's one question. When it comes to going on business trips, when you book a flight, do you book early flights or late flights? A lot of people have different preferences, but we will take a look at an idiom related to that. So let's take a look. Today's idiom is a red eye. A red eye. What does that mean? Does it mean that your eye hurts or your eyes hurt, that it's all red? Well, not in this case. A red eye, especially related to business trips or flying to somewhere, means something completely different. Here's a sentence. I always book the red eye because they're less full and fairly quiet. Imagine what the situation is. You book a red eye or the red eye because it's less full and fairly quiet. The definition is 야간 비행편이에요. Okay? 밤늦게 출발을 해서 아침 일찍 도착을 하는 비행편인데요. It's a flight that leaves, that's right, very late at night and arrives early in the morning. A lot of people prefer taking the red eye or red eye because they think it saves them time. But some people say it's too tiring because as soon as you return home, you have to go straight to work. Now keep that in mind. A red eye, you can book a red eye or take a red eye. Another sentence. I took the red eye from Hong Kong to Seoul. My friends do this, but they always complain that they're tired. Their eyes are always red. Okay, that is a wrap, everyone, for today's idiom. All right, that's a wrap for now.
Where do you usually go on business trips? What is normally the nature of your business trips? How often do you go? Who do you go with? Choose one particular experience and describe it in detail.
I sometimes go to Daejeon for my business trip. I go to Daejeon about once or twice a month. I go there to give a lecture about our newly released books. When the new book is published, I need to tell our teachers on how to teach children with the book. And the lecture is usually 2 to 3 hours. It's not so easy to speak for that long time. And sometimes the teachers is really boring and bored and exhausted. So I prepare some funny jokes to make them laugh. One day I take a small gift from a teacher after the lecture. So she told me that she really enjoyed the lecture. So I was really happy that I have a fan now. So sometimes after the work is done, my co-workers and I go to some famous places there.
And that was today's actual interview, everyone. Now, did you find the good points and the oopsies as well? It was hard. Yeah, it's often very hard to find the oopsies, but let's check it out. The good points about today's interview was, I sometimes go to Daejeon for my business trips. Perfect. I go where? for my business trips or on my business trips. Okay? Now, I go to Daejeon about once or twice a month. Perfect job. She talked about how often she travels to Daejeon for business. Now, another good one was, I go there. We're talking about the purpose, the reason why she goes on these business trips is to give a lecture about our newly released books. Now, she said, I go there to give a lecture about our newly released books. But usually, you give a lecture on something. Now, about is okay, but I would say try using on in place of about. Give a lecture on something. A lecture on something, okay? So, good points here. Let's check out a couple oopsies as well. The first one is, it's not so easy to speak for that long time. This part sounds a bit awkward to me. What about you? Does it sound awkward? Okay. Now, you could perhaps say, it's not that easy. 그리 쉽진 않다란 말이죠. You're exaggerating, you're stressing that it's not easy. It's not that easy to speak for that long. So basically, you just had to omit the time, okay? Get rid of it. You're talking about the time being, so you don't need it. It's hard to speak, to talk for that long, all right? Here we go with one more. Sometimes the teacher says really boring and bored and exhausted. So I prepare some funny jokes to make them laugh. This part is perfect. That's fine. It's the beginning here. You know the difference between boring and bored, right? It's confusing. So let's check out how you can use boring and bored. First of all, sometimes the teachers say the lectures are boring. Okay? What does it mean here? 지루하다. 지루하게 느껴진다라고 이야기를 한다라는 말이죠. Boring, 지루한이란 뜻이고요. You can also say sometimes the teachers say they're bored. Now, bored meaning, oh, I don't want to do this. Oh, this is bored. Okay? So, boring and bored is different. You feel bored, but something can be boring. Okay? So, remember the difference. You can say either A or B and continue by saying, so, I prepare a couple funny jokes to make them laugh. Well done. I just want to say thank you once again for your time and effort and hope you improve. Better luck to you in the future. That's a wrap for today's actual interview. Well, time is up, everyone. Wow, time went by very, very quickly. I hope I had 20 more minutes or an hour more to go over more expressions, but yeah, I'm afraid that's all the time we have. Now, when we talk about going on business trips, as I mentioned, I think it's very important to begin on a positive note. Talk about how it's a huge responsibility and you enjoy going on business trips. You enjoy attending conferences. Talk about the good things and also mention that perhaps you represent your company, okay? And also to add a bit of fun to your interview or even your conversation, throw in some experiences, something interesting that happened on a business trip or even something unique that happened. Or you may even talk about a person that you met on a business trip, okay? So talk about all these things. I do remember a post by one of our viewers, I believe it was a he, not sure he or she, but yeah, the comment said, I'm trying to learn the ways or I guess copy the ways that you speak, but he or she also mentioned something about using hand gestures. So don't just sit there and be a log. Move around, you know, keep eye contact. Sometimes look away, but briefly smile and just remember those tips, everyone. Best of luck to you in the future when it comes to interviews and having a conversation about this topic. Well, that is a wrap. Today we talked about business trips. Next time we'll be talking about health. So perhaps we'll be talking about a time that you felt ill or a time that you had to go to the hospital. Or perhaps we can also talk about maybe a friend or a family member that was hospitalized because of ill health, okay? That is to come next time. So until then, don't get sick, feel good and happy, and I'll catch you again soon. Bye for now.